Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, we're back again. This is Hofstra, and I'm with my buddy Sticky Finger Jones. So we're going to do a follow-up from our last episode. We were talking about potentially buying projects zero point 0.1 and under on Ethereum, and we had a little discussion before this on what our processes were, and they're quite a bit different. I think the strategies are different depending on what you want to do with the project. And so we're just going to start off talking about how to maybe find a project and what to look for and some of the tools. And I'll just kick it over to you and let's get started. And yeah, what do you think about projects under 0.1?
Yeah, let's get right into it. Well, I think, half of the battle is sifting through the noise, right? The market right now is so saturated. There's a number of new projects that are coming out every single week. And so the first opportunity for me is like, how do I know what is more than a rug, right? We all have this story about being rugged. And so I think there's kind of a number of different ways that you can go about this. One of the things that I like to do is I like to lean on my community. I have a group of friends who are, also involved in the space, and I like to lean on them to understand what they're into. That's also how I hear about new projects. And, sometimes these are also referred to as alpha groups, which I think you are actually the expert on those alpha groups and that sort of thing. And so if you want to, talk to us a little bit about what you've got going on with yours.
Yeah. I don't know about expert, but I've definitely been doing it a while. I've been in different projects. And yeah, it's such a big part of NFTs is the community. And like we were saying last time, some of the things you have to have are Twitter being number one. If you're not on Twitter, you got to get on Twitter because that's where pretty much all the alpha and all the news start. More importantly, Twitter Spaces. So if you haven't heard about Twitter Spaces is it's like a live interactive podcast almost, I guess you would say.
Definitely.
And like in the morning, I listen to a project called the Nifty Alpha Morning Show or Nifty Alpha Morning Show, which also has an NFT project called the Portals, which basically it's just traders talking about NFT projects. And it's so important to find people in the space that know what they're talking about, that are good traders, and build a community of people you can kick ideas over to and ask questions. And so if you get in Twitter Spaces, you might see somebody with an avatar, and you can jump in there and just ask questions. What do you think about the project? Give me your thoughts. Why should I buy this? How much is it?
Yeah. I'd like to just kind of hit on something that you said real quick. It is really important to find people that you can trust, because in this space, everybody is, especially if you're asking them about their own project, it's the best project to ever grace the Web3, space. And so finding a group of people who have been in the space, who have proven track records, who have lost, that can't be understated. And so I think that's also, where a lot of that benefit of joining the portal that you were talking about comes in, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because the people on there, you hear them every single day. A lot of them have YouTube shows or different content that they're putting out, and they show what they're buying, and it's so important. I can't stress it enough to find a group, find people, because the space is so crowded. When you first come in, you're not going to know what's a good project and what's not a good project. And you might get in and everyone's, WAGMI, this is great, the artist, blah, blah, blah. And then, you get into it and you're like, oh, this project is not that cool. Or, I just lost all my money.
Yep, absolutely. And I would say just a good rule of thumb, check out the Discord, check out the general chat. And if you get in the general chat and all you're seeing is like posture check or remember to hydrate, or you're seeing, the same person chatting, I love this project so much, I will never sell, diamond hand forever. That might be a good indication that the community is not really built on a strong foundation, right? And we actually like to call that grinding for the whitelist, if you will. And oftentimes, I mean, think about it, right? If they're spending this much time faking their involvement in the community, it's pretty evident that they're in there for a quick buck. And those are the people that kind of drive the prices down. And there's nothing wrong with taking profits, right? One of the number one things that I always say is always take profits. Nobody ever went broke taking profits. But if you're thinking of things from like a long-term perspective, these are just some of the things we like to watch out for.
Yeah, so I'm trying to pull up my Twitter right here, and I don't know if Twitter Spaces shows on my desktop. It does. I know it does if people are on and I can see them, but I don't know if it'll show me on the top like it does on your cell phone. But getting back to like 0.1 projects, so there's two different strategies, right? One is you want to try to find something that's new that people are hyping up, buy the mint, get in, get out, make a quick 2, 3x, 4x profit. That's a bit more risky than looking for something maybe that's been around for a while, that people aren't on, that you can get at a good price. And I kind of want to look at both processes. So let me see if I can share my screen real quick. And I'm just going to pretend like I'm buying for projects that maybe I want to hold for a while, or I'm okay sitting on, that I'm not as interested in just getting in, getting out. And then when I'm done, maybe you can show some of the analytics tools that you use to find new projects and what you're looking for in buying something like that. So let me see.
And let me pull you up. And off we go.
Okay, let me do this. I think I shared the wrong screen. Switch it over to the other one.
Whoops.
Okay. Okay, so I just pulled up OpenC right here. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I like to look at is, I mean, it depends how much time you want to spend on OpenC, because you can spend a long time looking at this. And when you come in and you've never seen projects, or you're brand new, it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many freaking projects. So I'll go down and just start scrolling through like the top 500 projects. But what I'm looking at right now, if I'm going to try to hold something a little bit longer, I'm going to look at all-time trading, and I'm going to see what's been around. What are the top projects right now? So let me go back to 1 through 100. So you can see, if you just look right here at floor price, I mean, I'm pretty much priced out of every single project. This one right here, wearables. Okay, that's not really a project. That's like buying skins. Super rare. That's not probably something I would look at to buy an NFT project to get in, unless you're into like one-of-one art or more unique things.
Yeah. Do you know much about that project?
I don't buy much on super rare. So I can't really speak to that. But like, look at the Zed Run. I got so big into Zed Run when I first started. Now you could get into something under 0.1 on Zed Run. That's been around forever. They signed with NASCAR. There's a lot of money going into that project, and that was one of the biggest projects that first came out. So if you wanted to buy something and start racing your horse and trying to win money, you could get in under 0.1. That's an established project. That, it all depends. If you want to buy something that you want to look at, that's probably not the project. That's more of a play to earn, horse racing game. But I'm just looking down here. I mean, it's the number 30 traded project, which, NFTs haven't been out for too long, but that's saying a lot if it's been around for at least a year and they've got some backing behind them. So I'm going down here, just kind of looking. Here's another one, Townstar. And you're going to see Ethereum's kind of expensive. So to find something that's been around for a while that's under 0.1 might be a little bit more tricky. You're going to have to dig a little bit further. There's not as many options. Pixelvault Mint Pass, that's 0.14, that's close. So you might flag this one. Maybe you want to keep an eye on it. You can add this to your watch list, right? And then when you get into analytics tools, you can show how maybe you can keep those up, and you can get, some of them will flag, like if it's at a certain price, you can get an alert. Okay, so let's go back. But yeah, this is the first thing that I would do is I would start digging on OpenC, and I'm going to try to find one that's under 0.1 that is somewhat of a known project or halfway known project. Lost Poets, last year this was a big project, but you can see, look, volume, it's done 30,000 Ethereum in trading volume. So not that this is a point under 0.1, but I'm just going to use it for an example. Okay, so the first thing that I'll do is I check the floor price, and I know this is a little bit higher, but I'm going to start looking at how many are listed. Oh, wow. Oh, this is off. Look, floor price is 0.14. I get in here and it's at much higher than that. So that's actually not on. That's not even right.
And this is why we call it Broken Sea. Great example.
Yeah, I think it was down. I saw a bunch of tweets today that this was down. Okay. I'm going to get out of this. Let's go back. Okay, here's one. Punk's Comic. You kind of have to know about the projects too. Punk's Comic, you may or, I mean, if it might not be a bad one. So let's just use this as an example. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. This is an example of how, like, it's not necessarily step 1, step 2, step 3. This is a very fluid process, right? And to your point earlier, Ethereum's expensive. Anything that you're going to be doing on this blockchain is not cheap, right down to the gas. And so that's why it's really important to kind of leverage strategies like this to ensure that you really know where you're putting your dollar, right?
Right. So actually, this might be a good example. So Punk's Comic, look, it's got a little blue check mark. It's verified on OpenC, which, may or may not actually matter, because some of the projects that are on that are verified aren't really doing anything right now. And you can pay to get verified from what I understand. But let's say this one, okay, at 0.1, I'm going to hit this trading volume, and I'm going to look at this graph right here. But I'm going to take it all the way down to all time. Okay. And you can see when this project came out. It's not even a year old, which again doesn't mean that much because it's NFT world. It's really only been a thing for a year or so. But you can kind of see the trading activity. And then the high on this project, look at this. I mean, there was stuff on the first Punk's Comic selling for 11 Ethereum. And then They came out with more. They've come out with like 3 or 4 different volumes, like issue 1, issue 2, issue 3. But this was tied to the Bored Apes when it came out. And if you were in the space last year, 2021, like I remember when this project came out, this was like, it was like, you got to have one. And I think if you own this, it gave you, it was either this or Pixelval. I think it was this. It gave you the Adidas drop. So if you owned it, they airdropped you, or you were able to mint the Adidas pass, which is worth like 1.5 right now. But you can see, like, right at the end of the year, look at this thing falls off a cliff. So I'm going, okay, why? It was trading so high right here, then it falls off a cliff. And what is going on with this project? Why is it just sat down here? And then I would start digging in. So I'm going to go right here, look at the trading history an hour ago. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 projects in the last day that have sold, and they've all sold for right about that price. This one, actually, no, this is 2.5, but you can see it's a different one. So then you can go over here, and you can filter. Whoa, that didn't work. Okay, this one, sometimes you can go in and you can filter this by the type of comic. It doesn't look like I can, but if you look at this, the reason that some are trading a lot different are because this is issue 2.
And the other one was the OG, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Oh, type. Here we go. Okay. So type, if you go look, so there's 12,000 on issue 2. There's 10,000 issue 1. Pixel Vault Founders DAO, Pixel Vault Issue 1 Special Edition. So there's 58 of this. That's probably why it's so expensive. But if I'm buying to keep long term, if you're investing in art, that's kind of like, I mean, you want to look at the history. So if I'm somebody that thinks, okay, this technology is new, this 2021 is going to be a year that they write, articles, maybe have documentaries about, because this is a whole new genre in art. All the stuff that was going on with like, all the sales at Sotheby's and just Bored Ape Yacht Club and everything that happened in 2021, that's when this was released. So if I'm trying to build a portfolio of good projects that I'm okay holding on to, that maybe have meaning, that also potentially give me new things down the line, because I know a lot of these projects rewarded the people that bought them. And I don't know if that's still the case, but what I would do is, if I was thinking about buying this, I would go to the website. I'd read all through the website. It may or may not have a roadmap 2.0 or a whitelist, but I would try to find the people. So if you go back up to the top on OpenC, OpenC links to everything. So you can see the website right here, Discord. So if you want to just check that out, and then usually the Twitter, like you can hit this, check the Twitter, see if it's active, see if people are talking, or if you get in there and you're like, okay, this thing's dead. You may not want, like, if you're trying to make 2 or 3x on your money within, a week or so, this isn't the right project. But if you want to hold something that you think might have historical value or significance, and that maybe long-term gets a resurgence, and all of a sudden people aren't on this project, but they were. I mean, this was such a big thing when it came out. And my question would be, why? What's going on? But you can filter, like I said, you can go through here and look at Series 2, and then you can get out of this. You want to see what Series 1 is trading for. Look at the difference. 2.4 ETH versus Series 2. So if you're into comics, and, I don't collect comics, but I know enough about trading cards and things like that. Like, if you're going to collect a series, maybe issue 2, you get in the Discord and you find out, okay, if you're holding a Punks comic, maybe they have a DAO coming out. I know that's like on Pixel Vault, which I believe is also tied to this. They all kind of connect to each other. And that's where you got to find out, like, what's the deal with this project, right? There might be way more to it. And just because it's trading at 1, like I said, let's go back to the trading volume. And I want to say when this came out, like even just a few months ago, I think it was like considerably higher. So let's take the last 14 days. Last 14 days, average selling price is 0.5, but that's going to be skewed because you're going to have some of these more expensive things. But if you can scroll down here, okay, 1.2, 1.2, and then let's go last 30 days. And I'm just going to go 30, 60, 90 and try to find out, like, okay, what happened on this decline? Why are these numbers where they're at? So 0.1, you might keep scrolling because it's going to tell you on here, look, 3 days ago, 7 days ago. So there's not much trading action. This is at 0.13. But you're probably going to have to dig a little bit in here and see, okay, if this thing is traded in the last 90 days at the same price, the likelihood of it doubling or tripling is not going to happen unless there's some sort of news that potentially could come out on this. Let's say, all Punks comic holders find out that Adidas is coming out with some merch drop. The only way to qualify to get on the whitelist is you have to have one of these. All of a sudden, everybody jumps on this project. Boom, 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 it's selling. And then, you could get out of it, or if you wanted to buy multiple and sit on it. But again, that's where you have to think through, what is your strategy? If you're new coming in, do you want to be someone that holds and builds a collection? Are you betting on the long-term success of NFTs? Are you, trying to pick a certain project and then build around it to have a collection of, fewer things, but things that, make sense. So anyway, that's kind of a starting point of what I would do. And then again, I would go back through here and I'd go back through the all time and I'd start there and I'd see, okay, so what else is here? Is it better to put my money there? But getting in Twitter spaces, asking people that maybe are involved in the project, they'll tell you the whole history. They'll be like, oh yeah, we're off this because, nothing's happened and everybody was on it, but, I'm holding it, whatever. And then get in the Discord, start asking questions. Hey, what's the news? Go look through the announcements, ask some questions, find some people, find them on Twitter because they'll link their profiles and you can start building a little community. So that would be my strategy if I'm looking to hold on to something for any period of time and build a collection and do it. But again, that's 0.1 ETH at, I think it's 2,700 a day. You're going to spend a decent clip, and if you're starting in Ethereum and you've only got $500, you might only get one project.
Yeah, absolutely. And so give a rough estimate of how long you would spend evaluating different projects before deciding, like, you know what, I do want to pull the trigger.
Oh my goodness.
Just so
I might spend 6 hours on something because, like, if I was going to dig into this project, there's so much history. And like, if I didn't know what I knew from last year, I wouldn't be able to get up to speed on this project. But if I was brand new and I didn't know anything, and I'm trying to look through however many thousand projects are on here, and you just see Punk's comic, right? And then you look at Crypto Punks, and then you look at there might be 12 Punks type related projects. Like, how do you know which one is good and which one is bad without digging into these things? And it really takes research. And that's where this is a little bit different than maybe buying a stock or buying something else. Is there's so many factors at play, like who's the artist, right? Who are the founders? Yep. Also matters. What companies are investing in them? What projects are they tied to? What significant people in the space are holding this collection? Are they still holding the collection? Who are those significant people? You have to find that stuff out, because if you're betting $500 on one project, this is something that I would probably buy and forget about it. Or if I took a strategy where I was just flipping, maybe I flip up and I come back to this project and I go, okay, this is cool. I liked all that information. And you're in a Twitter space and you hear, hey, Punk's comic, oh yeah, I was holding that. I still got one of those. And the only reason I'm holding it is they were saying in, April, there's going to be some new thing and this and that, you have to be up on this stuff because you can miss something quick.
Oh yeah. The space moves fast. There's no doubt about that. You are right on there.
Yeah. So that's where I would start. But I think your strategy is a lot different than mine. I know you wouldn't be thinking like that. You'd be like, okay, how do I find something that's the next hot project? I want to mint this thing for 0.08. I want to flip it 2 or 3x and get onto something else.
Yeah,
so I want to
absolutely.
Hear. Yeah, I'd like to hear how you break down. And I know you were talking about some different analytics tools that I hadn't heard about, which, there's new stuff coming out every day. So I'm interested to hear, you got 0.1 to spend. What are you going to do?
How am I going to spend it? Yeah. So, first, kind of like I mentioned earlier, I would take to some degree a similar approach of, let me check out my alpha groups. Let me go to the people that I trust in the space, see what they're into, understand why, before I really did anything. I like to use my people as a gauge. At the end of the day, it's all about working smarter, not harder. And so I'm just going to pretend that we've done that step. I've talked to my people. I've kind of checked out the Twitter, been in Twitter spaces, and I'm hearing about a project. And this is true. This is something that people close to me have been talking about. So how do I evaluate the project? I like it, but how do I use data to back my decision to buy? And so, one of the first places that I like to go is this project called Canyon. They have everything on their site used to be free, and it was really awesome. But they recently launched an membership pass, and there's some other things that kind of go along with this membership pass. But basically, what they did is they limited the functionality on their site. But that's not going to stop us today. So what I'll do is I'll navigate to their site right here, and I already have it pulled up. And so when you get here, this is what their homepage looks like. And so what you can see is that, there's a plethora of projects listed here. It looks very similar to what you were showing at the bottom of OpenC, where it's got how many total sales have happened within the last 24 hours, what that volume looks like in Ethereum, the 7-day volume, total volume over the lifespan of the project. So you can see that, in this instance, the project has only been out 7 days. And then the floor price as well. So I generally do not use this tool to find projects, but once I've found a project, I'll use the tool to understand, help evaluate it. And so today, the project that I'm interested in is called Super Ordinary Villains. And, I guess just a little bit of background. One of the reasons that I'm really interested in is the team. That was one of your points earlier. One of the big selling points is you want to make sure that there's a good team leading this project. And so the team has worked with Disney for a number of years. They were featured in like The Mandalorian. They listed before all the projects that they had worked on, and their resume was quite impressive. And B, my strategy is, if possible, buy into projects that are going to give me another token. And so that's something that this project is getting ready to do as well. If you own one of their villains, which is what we see here, they're going to airdrop you a hero, or you're going to get a hero. It hasn't been explicitly stated like that. They just said you're going to get something, and that's kind of what the rumors are. And then two, I like the art. I think it's pretty cool. So, like I said, I'll pull up the project here. I have the option to go view it on OpenSea, just like Hofstra just showed us. And then what I like to do is just kind of look at my summary statistics here. So first, understand how many items there are. What does the total supply look like? And so it's about 9,000 here. And the owners are about half of that. So to me, I think that's a pretty decent ratio. It's a fair ratio. And it's basically suggesting that on average, every owner owns about 2 of these villains. And I think that's fair. Where I start to really kind of use that as a red flag is when that count is closer to like 4-1, because to some degree that means people are starting to hoard the project. And my style is to buy into projects that have a lot of momentum. And I kind of value momentum by the number of unique owners. And so that's, my first data point. Second, the floor price, like we suggested earlier, it's under 0.1. That's what we're looking at. Next, the 24-hour average price. So I do see here that the 24-hour average price is a little bit higher than what the floor is. So that's something we definitely want to keep in mind as we move forward. And then again, they've got 42 sales in the last 24 hours, which isn't great. But if you really spend some time in this space, you'll understand that number is not too terrible. Then you can also see that, those 42 sales equated to about 2 Ethereum, which is how we get that 24-hour average price. And then you can do the same calculation for the 7-day volume and that sort of thing as well. The royalty fee, in my opinion, it is what it is. Some people leverage this as a buying point. I would say 7 is somewhat standard in the space, but some people won't buy projects that have more than a 5% royalty fee. That's not my style. I think, unfortunately, people got to get their cash too. One of the largest attractions about launching a project is that, royalty piece in the perspective of, to some degree, passive income. And so I don't really leverage that statistic too much. But what I do like to leverage is I like to come in here and look at the charts. So let's go ahead and open up these charts first.
Yeah, well, I do want to say something about that, because at the price point we're talking about, that royalty fee doesn't really matter. But you start getting up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Ethereum, like if you build your bag up, that starts mattering, because you can't get in and out of projects the same way. And if you're at a 10% on a 60th project, that's a pretty considerable size. Plus you have fees and all the other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that is a great point. And I would say that the people who pay more attention to that royalty fee are, just like you suggested, people who are buying into large valued projects, or they're buying a lot of a small value project. But for our purposes today, it's not too big of a hesitation. So yeah, let's go ahead and look at the charts. Okay. I think because I opened it in a new tab, it kind of prompted me to sign in. If I do have to sign in, okay, we'll just sign in with our Twitter real quick.
Where did you find this analytics tool?
So I found it actually on Twitter itself. I spent a lot of time in the space. The way that I actually came across it was somebody had leveraged a really cool analysis that they used to let you use for free, and they posted it on Twitter, and I was blown away. I thought it was an awesome way to kind of evaluate projects, but unfortunately, they no longer let you use that piece in the free version. But that piece, I guess I'll talk about it a little bit. It was called "Is This Project the Next Blue Chip?" And so what that analytical tool would do is it would compare the owners of whatever project we're looking at with owners of blue chip projects, and it would just kind of show you like the holder distribution. So you would see how many people are holding a Bored Ape, and how many villains they own as well. And so you can see that functionality right here, but unfortunately it won't let us leverage that today. So yeah, like I said, we'll go back to the charts here. So the charts are really cool. Just like in OpenC, you have the opportunity to view them at the 1 day, 7 day, 30 day, or 4 hour mark. Again, unfortunately, in the free version, you're only allowed to use the 1 day, 4 hour, or 1 hour mark. So we'll use the 1 day here. And so literally what we are looking at, each one of these dots represents a sale. And not only do you have the ability to see the distribution of sales, as well as timing, and this may help you later if you're trying to determine when's the best time to list a project. But you can actually click and view the asset, and it will pull it up on OpenSea. And so I can see that, over the last 24 hours, this was the highest sale. It was at 0.095. By clicking this asset, it'll actually pull it up here. And I might have too much going on with my internet right now, so we'll go back to that in a minute. So yeah, this is kind of my first step. Is I like to understand the distribution and see if there's maybe anything that is alarming here. And really, what that means is I'm trying to recognize a pattern. Do I see kind of like an overarching descending pattern? It kind of does look like that. We get a little bit of traction here at the end, or an inverse, which might tell me to buy immediately, would be the opposite. If all the dots kind of started lower, but as the day goes on, the price gets higher and higher. I will say that I think, one, because of the length of time that we're viewing, and then two, the amount of data points, nothing is super alarming here, but I would say it might have a negative sentiment, if I had to, but it wouldn't drive me away from this project. Here's another way for anybody who loves stocks to look at the same exact thing. So basically, each one of these also represents a sale. Technically, this would represent like an instance in time, but due to the amount of sales that they have, as you can see, you can kind of view them as one. But if you change your level of granularity, it starts to become more meaningful, excuse me. And so I actually thought this was at the 1 minute. That's why I suggested each one kind of represents one sale, because they weren't really gaining more than one sale a minute. But the interval right now is at 5 minutes. And so what we're looking at here is from March 9th to March 30th, every 5 minutes, what did their distribution look like? And so we are really interested, of course, in
line go up.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can see here that recently they did have like an influx of volume for one small period of time. That's this large green bar, but it kind of leveled off since then. And so again, just like we saw up here, the pattern kind of seems to be the same. I am a data analytics guy in real life, and so ideally what I would be able to do or like to do is to export this data and manipulate it myself, run actual statistical analyses to see if any of these changes are statistically significant changes. or to really get kind of the slope of what's going on here. But for these purposes, we kind of have to use our eyeballs. There are some opportunities to add some bands. So anybody who's familiar with stocks, you can add in, like, if you wanted to say, here's where I think my support is, here's where I think, my next level of resistance is, that sort of thing. You can do some cool charting here. But to be honest with you, right now, I think it kind of looks prettier than what the actual value that I'm deriving from it is. But yeah, so that would be my first stop. Let me see if there's any patterns, anything that screams, yes, buy in, do it immediately, or no, pass up. And here, I think it kind of passes both of our checks. It's not screaming either way. So we're going to go ahead and look at the next opportunity.
So on this one had already minted. So you're looking with some data, but if you don't have anything to go off of, because like I don't mint projects anymore. I did that a lot last year. It's just, for me, it's a little too risky, and I don't have time to grind and figure out, what's coming up. So like, how are you finding a project that doesn't have any data on it? Are you still buying those?
I am still buying those. As a matter of fact, total transparency, I think the largest success rate that I have had is getting on a whitelist, minting a project, and flipping it pre-reveal. I think right now, just thinking about the market conditions, that seems to be what's working. At least that's what's working for me personally. Really, honestly, over the last month and a half or 2 months, it seems to be pretty consistent in that you mint a project, especially if you're on the whitelist. The project
So
gets hyped up all the way until the art is revealed. And if you can sell somewhere in there, that's where I've been able to kind of maximize my profits. But that's barring, the opportunity to get a super rare item, right?
So how are you finding a whitelist though? Like, what is a whitelist? Because the whitelist wasn't a thing last year, and then all of a sudden it became a thing, and now it's like the only way that happens. And I've even seen a new trend with whitelists where before it's pretty easy to get on. Now it's like, super exclusive or to only certain people. But how are you finding these whitelists? Because like I said, I don't have time to sit there and find that stuff. So like, I always envy people that can get on these whitelists, because it's, to me, I don't
Yeah,
get it.
it's tough. Let me just say that really, if you want a whitelist for a project, there's a couple ways to do it. The best way to do it is to be lucky. Honestly, like you said, it to some degree it's near impossible. Everybody, every single day, whatever project that you're interested in will say retweet, tag 3 friends, and join the Discord, and we'll whitelist 3 of you, something like that. And then if you look at the tweet, it's got 10,000 retweets on it. So 3 out of 10,000, you guys can do the percent likelihood that you get selected. It's not very high. And so being lucky is honestly the largest way to do it. Number 2, though, for those of you who are very artistic, oftentimes, or honestly, in pretty much every project that's being launched, if you are able to come up with some sort of fan art that's basically make a derivative or take the project and do it in your own style, that's a really good opportunity if you can make something that stands out to get whitelisted. I have tried that route pretty hard, and I would say I've got like a 10% success rate.
But
It's a tough one.
if you get them, like, and if it's the right project, you're almost guaranteed to make some money. I shouldn't say guaranteed, but the likelihood, like the whitelist for World of Women Galaxy,
Yep.
like, you're not losing on that project.
Yeah, definitely not.
Like if you can get on that, you're guaranteed to make a bag.
Yep, absolutely. And so, yeah, I think minting right now is tough. To be totally transparent, really what I look for is, one, how do the people that are close to me who know about the space feel about it? Number 2, what does their engagement look like? Twitter is one thing, but you really need to get into the Discord and see like what's going on in the chat. Like we mentioned earlier, if it's just like a big grind fest and people are saying, uh, hydrate, posture check, I love this project, never gonna sell, wag me, all that sort of stuff, and it's just there's no real conversation, there's no real content going on. I think that's a big red flag for me. But if you see that they've got a good group of moderators who are in there, they're throwing events, it's all about, and here's a key right here for any of you guys who are launching projects. It's all about launching habit forming projects, right? Something that keeps your people coming back and makes them want to reinvest in the project from whatever perspective that looks like. And in these communities that are having people grind for whitelist, that's not going to do it. So those are really kind of how I evaluate an upcoming mint.
So on that super ordinary villains, I know you're using that as an example, but would you buy that? And based off of what you just saw, is that something you think would go up or down, or would you look at a different project?
Yeah, so right now there are a couple more checks. So the next thing that I would do is I'll look at the holders report, which I believe I pulled up right here. The holder report. And so here, what's kind of interesting is what it will show you is the top 50 holders. It'll show you how many tokens they hold and what that percent looks like. And so what I'm seeing,
does it show their wallet address? Like, can you
yeah,
go and figure out who that guy is?
yes, exactly. And so that would be my next step. So first, I like to actually scroll down here to the bottom and see the 50. Who's the worst and how much are they holding? And so, the worst of the top 50 is still holding 10 pieces. And so that's not bad at all. So then what I would do is check out what's going on with this guy. I might even choose someone over here in the middle as well. 27, let's go with that. That's my lucky number as well. See what's going on with this guy. And
this
then
is the cool thing about blockchain is all of this stuff is transparent. So if they have a OpenC gallery and you click on that and go to OpenC, or like copy that address and put it in OpenC, you can see what they have. Sometimes they might have it in a ledger, but if they have stuff that they're putting out to the public, you can see what else they own.
Yep. And so that's what I just did here by clicking this guy's wallet. Because if I look on Kanyan, it looks like he only has these villains. So that is really interesting in itself. This was that villain we saw earlier that was, the outlier that went higher than what we expected. But all you have to do is paste in here.
But like that doesn't mean a lot though. If they just have that, they could have just, because when people are minting, they'll use a burner wallet. So just because you have only that one project tied to that one address doesn't mean that that's the only thing this person holds. It could have just been a different wallet that they kept them in.
Yeah, absolutely. And it actually, oh, there it is. I was going to say, it looks like I couldn't even find that guy. Yeah, so what we were seeing is true. This one wallet is only holding SOVs. So to be honest with you, that is not a good wallet for me to look at. So I'm going to go ahead and exit him. And I would probably choose a different wallet. That was number 50. I'm still going to choose somebody down here near the bottom. And see what they are working with. While this loads, oh, here we go. So here we go. So now we see a wallet. So this guy is also holding 10. He's the number 49th ranked holder. And we kind of see, what other projects he has involved. And so I'll be honest with you. I haven't really heard of any of these. Have you heard of them, Hofstra?
They don't look familiar. Well, what's the name of the mushroom?
Rare Bears or the Funky Fungi.
Never heard of them. Keep going.
So we'll keep going. So Crypto Punks.
Yeah. Well, hey, he's got a loser club. That's
there
what I'm
it
talking
is.
about.
I've been looking at getting into Loser Club myself, actually. So yeah, so that's kind of interesting. That's something I like. Crypto Ray Rays, I'm also a fan of.
Does he have it? If you go to OpenC, put that in. Does he have his Twitter connected to OpenC, or can you find out who that guy is?
Yep. Copy him. Robbie SP, how are you doing, my friend?
Okay. Well, he's got a background picture, like a. Yeah. Okay, so there's no link. How many total? This guy's got quite a few projects in here.
Yeah,
that's a good bag.
Long Lost, not bad. The Board Bunny, of course, was big.
Oh, look, he's got one of your alien friends.
That's what I thought, but it's
got a humanoid.
It's a doodle friend. Yeah, were you in Humanoids?
No, I remember when that minted because my buddy got it and I missed the mint. And he was like, oh, because it went up to like 1.5, I think, like that first day. And I was like, damn it. And then it stayed up there for a little bit. But now you could pick a humanoid up for probably not that much. I wonder what
Not that much at all. Yeah, I've thought about getting into it a couple of times. See, now this, I can already tell you, this seems like a guy who knows what he's doing. Ding Buzzhole. It's like,
Hey, look, you could get into a humanoids right now for 0.14.
yeah, that's.
There you go. It's your opportunity right here. You can go snipe the floor.
But yeah,
I
yeah. I think Sprite Club, man, I was definitely looking at them for a little bit. So that's interesting. So you
That's
got
so
into
funny.
something I wanted to get into.
That's so funny because you were asking me like, how long are you going to spend on these projects? Well, like you're doing exactly what I do, and then I'm pretty soon I'm like down the rabbit hole. I'm looking at, wallet addresses, trying to find them on Twitter, trying to get, it's easy
Right.
to
And
like
then
we've been on for 45 minutes, but you could sit here and do this for hours. But this is also a good way to learn projects and see what's what holders that have significant bags are holding.
yeah, absolutely. And to be like totally transparent, what would probably happen in the real world, and I'll speed up now, but what would happen in the real world is I'd spend all this time going through different wallet addresses, and then I'd find something like, wow, what is this? And then I'd wind up buying the sevens when I set out to buy a super ordinary villain instead. But we're not going to let that happen today. I've had my heart set. So the last thing that I like to look at here is the compare holder. So I talked to you guys a little bit previously about the next blue chip. So what this allows you to do is kind of do this on a smaller level. So it always starts with Bored Ape Yacht Club. And so basically what I'm seeing here is there's 9 mutual holders. As you can also see, they each hold 1 Bored Ape Yacht Club, and they total 27 pieces of this collection. So that's not really a huge support. I also look at things like
Gutter
shout
cat.
out to the Gutter Cat gang gang. I like to look at projects that I enjoy, right? People that I vibe with, people that I feel like are on the same mission as me. And so when I do this, not only do I search like big projects comparable to Bored Ape Yacht Club, CryptoPunks, those sorts of things, but I also like to search what I like. So again, 1325, that's not huge. And then dig into the old alien friends. 100. So here we get a little larger, and these might be a little, closer to my speed. So assuming all of these kind of charts, the summary statistics up here at the top, looking at the holders, they kind of match my criteria. What I will then do is navigate to Rarity Sniper. So this is saying I'm ready to buy, okay? I'm going to buy SOV. How do I choose which of the 9,000 pieces I want to buy, right? We already talked about my goal is to snipe one off the floor, but if we just go to the collection here on OpenC right now, and I type in super ordinary villains, what you're going to see is all this sweet art.
Wait, is that it's at 0.04?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this just dropped a couple weeks ago because I remember this was on the top 100.
Yeah, I've actually made some decent coin here by using my trading strategy of selling on the rip and buying the dip. Hey, I'm not Mr. Zach Morris or anything, but it's pretty easy, right? Eat dips, not dicks. Buy the rip or buy the dip, not the rip. Yeah, pretty simple. But yeah, so what I'm trying to suggest though is I come here, I'm like, okay, I want to buy something that's 0.4. Well, this guy looks cool. Oh wait, this guy looks cool. Yo, this guy's got a crown. Okay, I'm into archery. But look at this cat. And so I go through all of these and I'm like, how do I understand which one I want to buy? Well, somebody smarter than I has developed this tool called Rarity Tools. And what you can do is you can come in and you can type in your project, Super Ordinary Villains, pull it up, and what it's going to do first is rank them for you in terms of the most rare piece to the least rare piece. And you can instantly see that, like, some of these one of ones are for sale right now. If I was in the market for a one of one, clearly I would probably buy the one that's at 5 ETH. a fraction of the price of the other ones. But we are into the floor. So what I like to do is I'll just come over here, play with my filters. Instead of rank low to high, we're going to go price low to high. You see buy now is already activated here. So look at this. Now in black, I have the token ID, but in orange, I have what they're actually ranked. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw emotion out. Just, I like this archery guy better than I like this guy down here. But if you look at the rank, well, I guess the archery guy is better ranked. Okay, so I should have shown someone else because the archery guy seems to be the best ranked out of everyone. So let's say I like this guy with the crown. I like him better than I like this man with the Fu Manchu. Well, the man with the Fu Manchu is almost twice as rare as this guy with the crown. Does that make sense? And so if these were the two I was trying to decide between, this is what I would go with. That being said, before I go any further, another rule: buy what you like, and you'll never be sad, right?
So, yeah, I mean, rarity matters in some projects. In some projects, it doesn't. Like if you look at Bored Ape Yacht Club, there are certain pieces that bring quite a bit, but then there's been groups that have formed, like maybe they have a certain shirt and they, create a group of these people that have a certain shirt or a hat or a jersey. Even though they could be maybe not as rare as some traits, they might bring more money just because the clout they have, or what the importance is to the project. So
yep.
But I would do the same thing. I'm trying to get the best piece that I can if I don't know anything about it for my money.
Yep, absolutely. And so I'll be honest with you guys. I was hoping I've been looking at this for a little while. I was hoping I could find something actually a little more rare than this. So what I might do is I'll come in here to this rank. You see how it's got every single one of them. Well, what if I just want to look at the top 2,000? Let's see what those are going for. So I plug this in, top 2,000, and now it's got the top 2,000 ranked from lowest to highest. And so you can see if I'm willing to come up a little bit from the floor, I can get one that's a bit rarer. But when I said buy what you like, to be honest with you, all these guys are pretty ugly. None of them are really cool. So I'm going to go back to, 1 to 8,000 here. Do one more check. You can see that some have actually been bought since we last did this refresh. I'm going to come back in here. And the last thing I could do, if I was so inclined, is click on the actual image here, and it will show you, 1, the properties. 2, it will show you how it scored the properties. And then 3, it will also tell you how many other pieces in the collection have the same properties. So you can see only 190 people in the collection have the tux. And if you know me and know my collecting style, when I can get a tuxedo, I grab a tuxedo. So what does that mean for us today? It means we're about to snipe this bad boy live. And so in true snipe fashion, you got to be quick. We're going to bring up OpenC. I can see he's still here listed, $136. Exit some of my other tabs here. Buy now. I do need to connect my MetaMask, so I'm going to turn off my screen for a sec. You guys can look at our mugs while I do that.
Okay, so you're buying this project. What are you going to do with it? Are you keeping this? Or are you trying to buy it and sell it?
Well, you're trying to get me to give away all my secrets. So I'll give you guys just a high-level view of my trading style. So I do this with every single token that I own. Every single one, period. After I buy him, what I'm going to do is I'm going to list him for 24 hours. I'm going to list him for... Sorry, I'm connecting. I have 2 things, and they're on 24-hour rotations. First, what I do is I will list him for double the current floor instantly, and I'm going to do that for 24 hours. He's going to be listed for double the current floor. Then when that 24 hours is up, what I'm going to do is put him for auction if he hasn't sold. I'm going to make the starting bid 0.01, so really low, and I'm going to include a reserve price of, something that's safe, an ETH. I am going to go ahead. Let me go ahead and share my screen again as I buy this bad boy. So we're going to try and get him. But yeah, so then what I'll do is I'll list him for auction with something safe. And so what I'm trying to do is get bids on him that will act as insurance. So if the floor dips, even though my bid may not have been what the floor was at the time, there's a chance that the floor dips below what the bid was. And so then I'll go ahead and accept that bid and buy another piece off the floor. And, it's all about compounding gains. It's one of the things that I learned from stocks that I was able to carry into this. And I think that's part of the reason I've had, whatever you want to call the success that I've had. That's part of the reason is I failed a lot in stocks, honestly.
Okay, so you're getting this guy. Is this a project that you actually like? Like, I mean, you're buying it, but are you going to do this? Are you going to instantly list it for 24, and then if it doesn't sell, you're going to do exactly that, or is this project? Because I know you've been eyeing it for a while.
I am going to do that. I do it with every single piece that I own in an effort to confirm this, in an effort to just kind of, keep my emotions in check. Some people will make a great investment. They will, maybe make their living off of the investment. And if you ask them how they did it, they said, well, I just followed my gut. I had an inkling, and boy, my gut's been right. It hadn't failed me since. My opinion, I don't think emotion is the death of reason, but I think it definitely poisons reason. And so that's why I just decide if I buy something, I'm going to list it. I don't even let that emotion come into play because, again, I grew up doing archery and that sort of thing, bow hunting, all that good jazz. This guy kind of has a warm piece in my heart. But if I, let emotion get into it, something that you and I were talking about before the show, one of the largest opportunities that I had is buying something, having an opportunity to take profits and make money on it, and just being so emotionally connected to this random piece of art that I hold it until it's worthless. And it's like by employing this strategy, it, like I suggested, it's kind of like a fail safe, and it keeps my emotions in check. So let's see what happened here. I'm not sure if I wound up.
No, it went through.
Oh, nice.
You got that bad boy. So, are you able to share my screen? I want to do something here.
Yeah. Let me go. I think.
And again,
share your screen.
Yeah. Going back to strategies, right? So, I want to get a second opinion, right? So, I just pulled up my Nifty Portal Alpha Group.
Gosh, I'm about to get roasted here.
And I'm gonna go in the general. I'm gonna go, hey guys, what do you think of SOV?
Here it comes. Prepare for the roast.
Super ordinary villains?
Yes, sir. They're villains, but they're super ordinary.
0.04.
There it is.
0.04. Thoughts? They're usually pretty active. Oh. Let's see what Lou Reed has to say.
Oh, Lou Reed, be kind to me.
Haha, thank you. No. Anyway, but this is what I would do. I'd go into my alpha group and I'd throw a couple things up here, and depending on who it is, and I may or may not listen. But you were talking about the data tools that you use, and I just want to show in here, like if I want to check data tools, like in this actual project. So like these are just one tool that you have, and one thing I want to kind of stress is your style may not be my style. Like the way I look at a project and analyze and break down could be completely different. I could be just as successful as you. And if you're not used to tools, one, it's going to take you a little bit to understand how to use them, how to understand the data, to really do it. So like the first couple you're going to go through is going to be, it's going to be difficult because you're trying to digest all this information that you may or may not understand, right? Getting into the space is a lot. It comes at you. But as you start putting your process together, it becomes easier. So the first one's going to be difficult. You're going to stumble through it. Maybe you're going to find someone, ask them a question. Hey man, I don't really understand how to use this tool. What do you think? Or watch a YouTube video or whatever. And then the second and third time, and then you kind of develop your 3 or 4 things that you do on a project. And then it becomes boom, 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 okay, yes or no. And you can pick this stuff up a lot quicker. But like in here, I would,
show you again.
No, nobody yet. So top NFT sales, like this is another one right here. Mint monitor, what's coming out, Genie sweeps, trending mints. They have a NFT tools, boom. So if I go right in here, they have listed, what is this, like 40 different NFT tools. So if you really want to get nerdy and break this stuff down and spend, 2 weeks understanding, but like there's so many in here, like they have their own. And then they've got WAGMI Analytics, Dune Analytics, Non-Fungible, Crypto Slam, Dapper App, NFT Stats, Icy Tools, NFT Nerds, Nansen, Hyperspace. Each one of these is going to have like its own unique thing. Some might be the same, but you might like a format different than others. But I just wanted to show you that, like,
yeah,
this is where I would get a second opinion, maybe before buying.
Right. And hopefully you have a buddy who won't wait until you make the purchase to put it in the chat. But not all of us are blessed with someone like that.
But me, I got to learn it the hard way. So even if you tell me not to do it, I'm probably going to go do it, and I'm going to feel it until it hurts because, I'm a degen NFT trader. And if I got to learn a lesson, it's got to be expensive.
Hey, and that's a great point, though. Regardless of what has happened, I have not lost in this space at all. I learned. I either took profits or I learned from it. And so that's another great thing to keep in mind. Lessons aren't cheap, but if you're smart, it's not a loss and it becomes a lesson and you do it better next time. So
cool. Well, hey, I know you you got a project this time. So I'd like to check in on the next one and see what happened to see if it actually worked or not. And maybe on the next one, I'll buy a project and we'll go from there. But, I think it'd be kind of a fun thing to, do like a 0.1 challenge. I know some guys, they do these like 1 ETH challenges, like in the Nifty portal. And I just bring that up because I'm in this project a lot.
Yeah.
It's funny because they do one over 30 days for 1 ETH. But if you're brand new, like jumping in with 1 ETH, that's like, at one point it was up to 4,400. It's kind of like poker chips or like, almost not real money when you're dealing with Ethereum. So it can get a little bit, plus when you mint, or buy and you got gas, like you don't understand how it works. I would recommend going low, but maybe the next one I'll buy one like that. But hopefully this was some information. Like I know when I was new, this was like, I was watching YouTube videos and I didn't have friends that did, like I still don't have a ton of in real life friends that actually do this. Like we met kind of coincidentally, but pretty much have a network of people on Twitter and in Discord now that we run in a circle. So if you're new, it can feel like learning a new language. Data and all this stuff could be tricky, but just do it. Just keep doing it. And don't be scared to try different things.
And reach out if you have questions, right? More than happy to help. You see our socials down here at the bottom. You can message any account and we'll definitely respond. Happy to help. And we want to hear about the tools you're using, right? What are you guys using? What tips and tricks do you guys have that we didn't talk about on the show? Teach us about them.
Yeah, that's one thing. You got to be a student of the game because just because what worked this week doesn't mean it's going to work next week or next month. And you got to be agile. I have learned that. So, hit us up on Twitter. Like, comment, subscribe. If you like this, let us hear your thoughts. We're going to start bringing more content and kind of take the position of if you were new, what would you do? And then kind of build from there. But this was fun. I actually learned a couple of things from what you were talking about that I didn't know. And I might use a couple of those little gems.
Absolutely, right back at you. So until next time, I'm
Peace.
Sticky. Peace.
Later.
Nice.